Yeah. What up? It is Chris. Woo, it's like 8 in the morning out here in DC, and it is humid. Whether it's hot or not, I don't know, but I'll tell you, it is definitely humid. But on my morning walk to work, over here in Northeast, been walking the earth like Cain the past couple of weeks. Basically, my first week on the job, working with this maker space, I realized, like, all right, I can get to work a couple ways. I can take an Uber, which is about $13 to $16 each way. So I'll spend about $25 to $30 a day going to and from work. I can take the Metro, which is about $270 a day going to and from work. I can take the Metro, which is about $275, and then you have to wait for a bus, and they change the bus schedule, so that takes forever. Then I can go to another Metro station, take a bus, takes forever. I can go to the Metro station and then take an Uber from there, or get a little scooter / line bike or something like that. Or I can just walk a lot. And I've chosen the walk a lot part. So I walk to the train station, take the train to Catholic University, then I walk over to my job on 18th Street. So it's a nice 2 mile something walk. And so like now I get to be the old dude. It's like when I was younger, I had to walk miles just to go to work, whatever. But wanted to give you all a chance to check in. Black Land Ownership, I'm a co-founder of. We are in the process of purchasing a 1/4 acre property in Memphis, Tennessee, specifically South Memphis. And we plan to convert this vacant lot into a community garden / space for people to share information, intergenerational connectivity, and hopefully some art or music events on a low-key community level. We're not going to try to start an outdoor venue in the neighborhood. We put in the offer, I guess, end of last week. We're in the process of sending over the earnest money, all the paperwork going through title company, and then hopefully we close, and then, hey, how you doing? And then hopefully we close and get to go down there, sign the paperwork, and have another property. As of now, Black Land Ownership either owns or stewards 22 acres of Eco Hub up in central New York, 15 acres of property that is in conservation easement in Fly Creek, New York, which is simply for hiking, camping, and educational purposes. We have purchased 10 acres of wetlands in Mississippi as part of a protection plan against the encroachment of petrochemical companies and shipbuilding companies in the Gulf region. We own 2 half-acre properties in Arkansas that we are trying to figure out the best use for, and are running into an issue in that it's in Sharp County. And when we bought the property, I wanted to see if it's possible to buy land without ever going there, off the internet, without using a title company, without using a bank. And it worked. Like, we did all the paperwork between me and the seller. We communicated very well. But once we got the property, it was like, what are we going to do with it out there? I went to a conference and met some young ladies that worked at University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. And they were like, wait, which is in Arkansas. And they're like, where's your property? And I told them Sharp County. And they were like, oh, be careful, that's Klan territory. And I'm like, what do you mean Klan territory? Like, for real? Well, apparently as late as like 2022, they've been having Klan meetings. And now that same county is home to a bunch of folks who are trying to start a white Christian nationalist community where only people of European descent can live, no Jews, no blacks, no queers, and all this to preserve their heritage. Keep in mind the county and town that they're trying to do that in is already 98% white. You don't really have to, I don't get what they're fighting against, but that's the type of place it is. And then we are working with my family ancestral home in DC. My mom passed over the winter, and so now we are trying to do what we can to keep the house, keep it in good shape, get the garden and yard area alive with activity and animals, and hopefully in the near future, educational programs out of the house as well as on the property. And Melissa has a family home that we're working on in terms of the garden. Her family members are still alive, but we took over a nice, like 60 by 60 area, maybe 40 by 40 area, and are converting it into like a serious garden. And so this Memphis property will be the addition. It's unique in that our property in central New York, our other property in Fly Creek, New York, the property in Arkansas, these are all places where there are either very few people or definitely very few black people. And so although we have been adamant in our goal of encouraging more people of African descent to get into land ownership, to understand land stewardship, land retention, we also work with any community that has a like-minded idea of responsible stewardship of land, and working with community members of all backgrounds, ethnically, racially, religiously, whatever it might be. So it's been dope up in central New York, working with folks that may not be black, but have an understanding of the history of the imbalance and have ideas about how we can rectify that, that have spent time in the community, that understand the processes of being in parts of rural America, and have been very informative for us. Like me going from living in DC to Atlanta to Brooklyn to a town with only 2,500 people, it required us to be accepted in a way that was really awesome. And so it's been fun working with that community. I think and they're like Amish folks out there, so we go to the Amish market, and it's people that I never would have met being in DC. But it'll also be dope to work with folks down in Memphis, where there is a black community, where there is a history of black community, where you have the civil rights movement history there. You have the Stax Museum and the music history down there. You have the cultural history of how South Memphis and Orange Mound were formed. There's so many components of it to be amplified and discussed that it excites us to be able to get down there and work with community. Again, it is a 0.25, so quarter acre lot that has been vacant. One of our goals is to bring vibrancy and activity and plant life and insects, butterfly gardens. We'd like to work with folks in the community to set up a growing system so that folks in the community can either benefit from, have free produce, or if we produce enough, be able to create their own little businesses. Wow, this house is off the hook. So this is the wild garden style that Melissa and I are thinking about for the house in DC. Look at this. This is banana cake. This is right here in DC. You look like you're in the wilderness. This is super fresh. They have you hear all the birds. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. But down in Memphis, one of the things is to work with the local community to generate enough produce, vegetables, or what have you, to share amongst the community. But then possibly if they're young people or not so young people that would like to start a business, or who want to understand how to go from basically farm to table, but with urban agriculture, and thinking about how you view urban agriculture. You have cool plants in your yard. You have cool plants in your yard. And getting community members involved. We're not going to come in and just implement it. We're not coming in and dictating what people are going to do. We want to work with local churches, local schools, local families, people that have been in the neighborhood. I want to find the person that's been there the longest and pick their brain, on the anthropology of history and what has been going on in this area for how many decades. Those are the type of things that excite me. And then outside of that, we want to work with other community grassroots organizations that care about urban agriculture, that care about community gardens, that see the value of not having empty lots, that understand that when you have the life, you have the activity, it can be a vehicle for other community growth activities. And so it's not just, all right, we have a community garden and that's the end of it. Nah, once we establish a garden, we work with other people. So if there's a book club, maybe you have your book club meet at the garden. If there's a philosophy group, maybe you have your philosophy group meet at the garden. And it's going to push us to expand our technical abilities. In one level, water. In terms of the property itself, with a vacant lot and in that part of Memphis, you can run into an issue of there was a house there. So if there was a house there and it was demolished, did the city take out the water lines when they demolished the house? If they took out the water lines, fully remove them from the property, then we'd have to pay to get a spigot installed or get water lines installed to the property in general so that we could water or provide water to any of our vegetables and plants. If they left in the piping that runs to the property and just took out the piping that would run into the house, then we may be able to work with that. Either way, we're going to have to do water capture techniques. Memphis gets hot during the summer. So there's a benefit during the winter. It's also warm, and we'll be able to grow more things for longer compared to upstate New York. But during about July and August, it's so hot that we have to have a serious irrigation system prepared. And so how do you do a serious irrigation system if there's no piping that allows water to run to your property? So we're gonna have to figure that out. That is a technical problem that we have not had to solve in the past. Upstate or in central New York, we have water everywhere. Like one of our biggest problems is there's so much moisture and there's so much water. It rains all the time. So what are we gonna do about that? And I think we're gonna have to do some research, figure out different water capture techniques, different irrigation techniques, different automated elements, as well as natural mechanical. And I know that may not make sense in terms of natural mechanical. When I think of mechanical processes, it doesn't require necessarily like computers or a digital process. And there are mechanics or physics that take place in the natural world. So you've seen things where you put an empty bottle upside down in the ground, and if you have it set up right with the right amount of liquid in it, the air pressure limits how much water comes out, and over a couple of days, your plants can be watered. So that's like a natural mechanical process. You are making a tool of sort or a device to do the irrigation, but you're using readily available products and really a natural process of physics. We are gonna have to probably go a bit more advanced than that and deal with pumps or like actual water capture containers and all types of other stuff. Other side of it will be finding folks that care enough to help tend the garden, because we will not be there as like full-time stewards. And so it'd be really awesome to link with other urban agriculture folks and be able to have a space of experimentation. Let people kind of figure out what kind of things we can grow that we never would have guessed. Like, we know you can grow figs and certain nuts and berries, blackberries and things of that nature, but can we do citrus if we have a greenhouse? You know, we have to figure out the arsenic levels in the ground, and then probably do some soil reclamation and some work to try to get the soil popping. Oh, hold on, now I may be able to do this while I ride this Lime scooter, but you won't really be able to see me. That would be dangerous. I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, so keep in touch with me if you want to know more about the project in Memphis. We plan to close on it in the next 2 weeks, and I'll be posting photos, and we're finally doing an official fundraiser. So look out for us, Black Land Ownership. All right, peace.